Welcome to Terry Lawson Photography Conversations. It's May 30th, 2018, and today we're on a farm just south of Radway, Alberta, and we're going to be talking to Song Despins, photographer, lover of nature, metal artist, and farmer. Song's passion for photography began, as it does for a lot of photographers, when she started taking photographs of her family. This passion grew when she realized she had an affinity for the night sky and the rising and setting of the sun. Recently, she has been photographing Lord Strathcona's Horse Royal Canadians Mounted Troop, also known as the Strathconas, and was the official photographer when the troop went to France to reenact the historic Battle of Moriel Wood, which occurred over 100 years ago. Using some of the thousands of photos that Song took, the Strathconas are planning to publish a book that will document the event. Her latest passion is operating an automated plasma torch at Vimy, Alberta. This device allows her to capture her photos and transform them into metal art. If you would like to look at some of the beautiful pieces that Song has created using this process, you can search the words Mirrored Images Plasma Designs / Alberta Corp on the internet. So join me now as Song and I talk about her passions. Welcome to Conversation, Song.
Hi, thank you.
First of all, even though it's a rainy day, I want to thank you for taking me on this wonderful tour of your farm. It was incredible, and you must be happy to be in this place.
I'm actually overjoyed to be here. This has been such a great blessing. I'm really happy that I reconnected with Paul, who gave me this opportunity to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just seeing, I learned a whole bunch about plants on the trip. I mean, we're drinking tea. From the wild.
Wild blackcurrant.
Yeah.
Just the leaves, though, not the berries.
Yeah, but it's that's all wonderful. So where I'd like to start is from my perspective of learning who you were. For me was from social media because of our collection of photographers that are in this area. And so my initial awareness of you was through your photography. So that's where I'd like to start.
Was
talking.
it the Northern Lights photography or was it the landscape photography?
Well, it was all your photographs.
Oh.
And I loved looking at them. There was a wonderful sense of place and who you are is often reflected in your photography.
That's true for all of them,
Yeah.
all the photographers.
Yeah. So let's start at the beginning. When did you pick up the camera and decide that you wanted to take pictures?
I think it would have to be when my son was born. We got just not a point and shoot, it was a disposable camera. Even from that, it was, okay, take this many pictures, and then just built it up from there. And then, of course, my son grew, and then it transpired into, here's a gift for you. So I was given a camera as a birthday gift, or maybe it was a gift for when my son was born, and it was a Sony Cybershot, and I would just take so many photos with that, and it was digital. So in my mind I thought, wow, I can keep so many memories on this little stick.
Yeah. I mean, you go back to the 35 millimeter
Yes.
days, and the joy that you have today is being able to actually look at the photo you've taken on your camera in comparison to the old days where you had to wait and get them developed. Yes. And hope they turned out.
Because you can't go back and redo it.
No, it's done.
Oh, times have changed so much with that.
That's right.
And it's fantastic.
Yeah. So we talk about, like you talked about your landscape photography, Milky Way, Northern Lights. Is there a particular type of photograph that you like to take, or you just like to take photographs?
I actually really like to take the Northern Lights photos and the sun setting and the sun rising.
Mm-hmm.
The different shadows that play on the ground when when the sun is rising, and then when the Northern Lights are dancing up and down. I can't push the button fast enough. You just touch the button and wait 2 seconds. Oh, 2 seconds is too long. Push the button again. And then there are times where you're taking Northern Lights photos and there isn't enough time between the Northern Lights dancing.
And the way they change
They
so
just
quickly.
move so fast. And then it's, where do I point the camera? So it's so invigorating
Yeah.
to have the camera pointing and capturing, because you know there are only a select few that are out capturing the Northern Lights.
That's right.
The
And
night sky.
yeah, and they are so fleeting, shall we say. I mean, you have to really... There are many times when you happen to be at the right place at the right time for them.
I find that is the thing that I've learned through my photography, is that I am in the right place at the right time. I find it happens more often with me, which is incredible because I usually have my camera with me too.
Yeah.
And I can capture things that way.
Yeah. And I mean, here we are on this beautiful farm where the sky is dark, and all you have to do, it's not like someone in the city having to drive for miles to get to that spot.
That's right.
You got to look out this window right here and say, oh, there they are. I'll go take some pictures.
Yeah, we watch the sun setting often from right here.
Yeah.
And just look out the window.
Yeah. What do you like most about taking photographs? What joy do you get from clicking that shutter?
There's a certain happiness and joy in just sitting there and looking at it. The thing that fascinates me is that it's growing. You can't see it growing, but you know that there's so much energy built up in something so small. Like this morning I was taking pictures of raindrops.
Mm-hmm.
But that branch or that leaf that it's sitting on is expanding. Even though I'm looking at it, I can't see it. But I know that it is surpassing its previous lifetime,
Mm-hmm.
which was last fall or last spring.
Mm-hmm.
That's the joy.
Yeah. I
Capturing
think
it.
I think for me sometimes it's feeling blessed to be in that moment in time.
Yes.
Especially more often than not, aside from my wife that's usually with me. I drag her along at the middle of the night and to take photographs.
It's
and
great that she goes out with you. That is really great.
but there you are, and you were there by yourself viewing this incredible scene in front of you. And sometimes you don't even want to take the time to take the photograph because you just want to look at it.
Yes. A witness.
Yeah.
A witness to something so extremely beautiful.
And so you think of yourself as you're preserving this moment in time for others to look at, right?
Yeah.
And then you have the joy of sharing that with people, saying,
Sometimes I don't want to share it with people.
is that right?
Yeah, sometimes. I'll look at the photo and go, wow, I just want to keep this all to myself. I want this huge and on a wall hanging in the house. I don't want anybody to see that. But those that come and visit me, they'll have the opportunity to see it.
Yeah.
Did you see the one that's on the wall over there?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Speaking of the ones on the wall.
Yeah, and that, well, and I agree with that. For me, what I like with what I'm trying to do with my photography, being at my age where I'm retired and I'm not doing this for the money or anything like that. I just love to be taking those photographs and to show people the beauty that we are surrounded by.
Don't get me wrong, I do enjoy that too. I don't want to keep all of that. I like hearing people's reactions.
Yeah.
Knowing that they would probably never see it.
Yeah, exactly.
If we weren't there snapping the photo,
Yeah.
snapping the camera.
Yeah. Now, are there times where you have been out there taking your photographs, and there is this one moment that you will never forget, that you had the opportunity to take the photo? Are there some of those memorable experiences that you've had?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact date right now, but there's a photo that I've posted. It's called Drops of Jupiter.
Mm-hmm.
The entire night was beyond belief. And I stayed until the sun rose. The northern lights were still dancing on the west sky as the sun had already come up.
Mm.
It was just incredible to have both things. They were faint. The northern lights were faint in the west sky, and the sun was coming up in the right, or the east sky. But the most memorable part of that night was the way that the northern lights literally looked like they were dropping from the sky.
Mm.
There was a drop of green, and then a drop of green, and it moved from left to right, almost as if it could be a picket fence, but it wasn't all the drops at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
There were individual drops of
Mm-hmm.
green and then purple drops, which is why I called it Drops of Jupiter, because they changed colors. It didn't stay green.
Mm-hmm.
It was, and then underneath the drops, there was the aurora oval.
Oh, wow.
So you had a band of aurora oval, and then you had these drops falling, and then above that, because the higher you go in the atmosphere, the more it becomes blue. So there's blue up above that, and then dark sky with really bright stars.
Mm-hmm.
And then it also reflected in the pond
Mm. Where was that?
on Township 590. We
Okay.
call it the 590 pond now,
Okay.
because it's the pond.
The pond.
The pond. Yeah. And
Wow.
I drive by that pond every time I go to Vimy, so we'll
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah. So when you've been out there taking all your photographs, what have you learned about yourself as far as having those experiences? Has it taught you something about who you are?
The thing that I've learned is that I'm in the right place at the right time. I didn't realize how much I was in the right place at the right time and capturing things until I started sharing things on social media. And people's feedback was, wow, how did you get that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, where were you when that happened? Geez, I wish I would have had that. And I just sat back and said, I am in the right place at the right time for opportunities to happen for me to capture. And it's inspiring. I think the word is inspiring, to know that nobody else is out there capturing that, because it didn't happen over there. It happened right here in front of me.
Yeah. Well, that's what I love about
I've seen triple
these moments
rainbows.
in time. Yeah.
Have you ever seen
What?
3 layers of rainbows?
I don't know if I've seen 3. Definitely 2. But...
I've seen them and captured them. And it's just incredible to just sit there and look at these and think, how many photos have I ever seen where there are 3 rainbows, one on top of the other?
Mm-hmm.
I don't recall ever seeing that kind of a photograph before.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen it twice. One of them was out by Alexander Reserve. Then they have a teepee, a big teepee for, I think it's the community center.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have my camera on me. It was in the bag. As I was driving up, I was taking pictures with my phone so that I wouldn't miss it. And then the ones on my phone didn't turn out as well as the ones on my camera.
Mm-hmm.
But in the camera, you can't see the 3 rainbows. You can only see 2. And it shoots out from the teepee.
Mm.
So it was pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
And the second time I saw the 3 rainbows was 2 weeks ago behind my parents' house in Vimy. And by the time I ran out there with my camera, the 3rd one was gone again. Oh.
So we all go out there and we take our photos. What for you is the most challenging aspect of taking a photo? What challenges you?
That's a really good question. Do you have some examples? I don't really know what challenges me right now.
Well, I guess there could be a number of things. It could be getting to the place. You know, you're challenged to get to a location where you want to take a photograph. It could be time, being there. You know, trying to make sure that you organize your time to get to the place that you want to take a photograph. Things like that.
No.
So you have no challenges.
Not that I can think of right now.
Yeah.
I always have the mindset that I am going to be there, even if I'm considered late. I know that I'm going to be there at the right time, no matter what time it is. Mm-hmm. And things are going to happen at the right time for me to capture them. So I don't really see that as a challenge.
Well, I guess to a certain degree, you could make it challenging with all the things that you have on your phone these days, as far as apps and everything. You could spend hours and hours and hours organizing your time and determining a location to be there at the right time, at the right, to get that photograph. That would be a challenge. But I think listening to you, though, because of where you are,
the location is fantastic.
You're here.
Yes.
You don't have to do all of that.
Just got to go outside.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I have rolling hills, I have creeks, trees.
Yeah, everything is right here, and the sky is dark. And so that's probably a moot point as far as you're concerned.
Some things that don't apply, yeah.
Do you have photographers that give you inspiration?
I have had a mentor, as you know. I've had a mentor. He's taught me so much. Yeah. And I'm very grateful for him. He's broken out and he's gone his own way now, and it's really nice to watch him expand and just be places. And a lot of the things that he's taught me, I still use that today, like not walking into the area before you take a picture, things like that. Making sure that I looked all around me was something that I always did, but before I didn't think about taking a photo all around me before walking into a situation. I would just walk in and go, oh, I need to be over there, and then go there. And he just taught me to slow down and look at everything. And night photography is something that was really inspiring when he and I first met. It was something that it was fantastic to just say, hey, are you going out? Yeah, okay. We would just meet in the middle of nowhere on a road in the dark. Yeah, practice taking shots like that. It was great.
Yeah, that aspect of taking your time is really important. And I think a lot of people don't really appreciate that you have to do that. It may be many minutes before you actually take your camera out of the bag, before you actually start thinking about taking that photograph. Yeah. When you're standing there and you say, oh my goodness, this is amazing, you have to really evaluate what is it about that scene that makes it amazing.
The shadows.
Or whatever. Yeah, you have to identify what is it that's grabbing your attention. Yeah. And to then decide how you're going to represent that in your photograph. That's really important.
Yeah. Yes, you have to. How do you display it?
Yeah.
Like this morning when I was taking photos of raindrops, there were those grain bins, so they actually are part of the background. So you got to get the focus right here, and then pay attention to what's in the background, so that it's highlighting what's in your foreground.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we all, over time, take hundreds and hundreds of photographs. Is there a photo that you've taken recently that it's the photo?
Yes, actually. When I went to France to do a shoot for the Lord Strathcona's horse, they had to do a cavalry ride, which is normal for them to do a cavalry ride. And there was a crowd. The crowd lined the outside, the two outside lines of where they were doing their cavalry ride. I went to one side where there was nobody else. They weren't allowed to come to the other side just for the safety of the crowd, but they were lining 3 areas around the horses doing this ride. And I'm sure that some people were wondering, why is she over there? She's going to be in all the photos. But I knew that I needed to be over on this side so that I can capture them coming towards me at one particular time in the ride. So about a quarter of the way through the ride, all the horses and the soldiers dressed in World War I uniforms. So it looks fantastic in black and white. It was a commemorative 100-year anniversary of the Battle of Morrowwood. Yep. So they are coming in twos around, and they're doing a U shape. So they come to the end, and then they turn separate ways and go back down the line to reform. Just as the line was coming towards me, they turned to the right, and Paul, his horse, tripped. Because he was turning right, and the crowd would have been behind and looking at all the horses, it just so happened that it was on the turn. He fell down. It looked like the horse crumpled into the dirt. So his face went down, his front hooves went down and curled under. It was almost like he was going to do a somersault. And Paul was on this horse. At the time, I didn't know that Paul was on that horse. Because I had my zoom lens on, I had to be far away from the horses so that I would make sure to get them when they were close. So this horse crumples down, and I see the rider rear back as if he's almost going to fall off of this horse. And then the horse stands up within 2 seconds. So
everything's recovered and everybody's like nothing happened.
That's right. And the faces on the guys in the background they're just, their mouths are open, their eyes are open with, oh my gosh, he's going to fall off that horse. Nope. The horse fell down, crumpled into a ball on the ground in the dirt. Paul managed to pull the horse back up. The horse quickly stood up again and kept going. Well, tying in with me being in the right place at the right time, I snapped the photo just as the horse was down on the ground and his ass was up in the air. Paul was leaning back on the horse. Wow. You can see both of Paul's hands were spread out in the air like, holy crap, I'm going to fall off. But he managed to pull the horse back up in a matter of seconds, and they kept on going with the ride. Then we started showing people at the dinner that evening this moment, and everybody was saying to him, when did that happen? Well, I didn't see that happen. How did you get that? No, really, when did that happen? And that was when we just started saying, well, it happened when we were coming around the curve, and they said, we didn't see you fall off your horse. He didn't fall off the horse. And I have proof of that too. A matter of seconds. It just happened so fast. And I almost went, and took the camera away to see what was going to happen. Yeah. But I knew. I was just like, no, I can't do that. I can't have that knee-jerk reaction of, oh my gosh, what's happening? I didn't. And I'm so glad that I didn't go with my knee-jerk reaction as a mom and as a person who cares about other people to go quickly and make sure everything is okay. I stood my ground and went, I'm a photographer. Ching, ching, click, click, click.
Wow, that's spectacular.
I can't wait to show you that photo.
Yeah.
Not many people have seen it. I haven't posted it either. Yeah. Because I want to find out what Paul wants to do with that. Yeah. So after the cavalry ride, Paul came up to me and said, did you catch that? And I went, that was you on the horse?
Oh my goodness.
I would have, my knee-jerk reaction would have been more concerning had I known that it was him. But just the way that the light was shining on everything, I didn't know it was him. And I wasn't focused on who was on the horse. Yeah. I was focused on make sure I have the top and the bottom and the outside of the horse.
Composition.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow. That's spectacular.
it was
Good job.
it was really great.
Yeah,
I
good job.
feel very proud of that photo
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Where do you see your photography going from here?
Well, I know for sure that some of my photographs are going to be in a book. I'm really pleased about that. Can I name
Sure.
the book and stuff?
Sure,
Okay, so the
yeah.
Lord Strathcona's, because of the trip to France, they are making a coffee table style of book, and they've chosen some of my photos to go in that book.
Mm-hmm.
And they have the whole tour over there is going to be highlighted in this book. So I'm really happy about that. And with the leftover photographs, I would like to put them in another book. Not one that the Strathconas are producing, but something that maybe the government or Canadian historical societies might be able to get on board with and put in their stores.
Mm-hmm. Have you done anything with your, I'll call them landscape photography? Have you ever done anything with that?
Just printing them and selling them.
Yeah. Now the other thing I'd like to sort of move through to now, I mean, and again, these are things that I wanted to talk about because that's what drew me to you in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to talk about where we are right now.
Okay.
And your love of
Nature.
and the rural life.
Yes.
What tell me about that. Tell me about that passion that you have for that.
It started with a car crash. Car crash back in '94. I ended up with over 200 stitches from on the left side of my face, and they were trying to tell me to take drugs to help cure me and get better and take away the pain, and I found that the drugs didn't work. So I had to find something to help heal my face faster so that I wouldn't be in so much pain. So I started looking into nature and figuring out what can I eat that is going to boost my energy and make me heal faster. So I started studying all the herbs and looking at different trees and berries and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I did take photos of them so that I could look back and say, okay, that one helps with this, and then do research. Because when I'm out there, I didn't want to pluck it from the ground or anything like that. I needed to take a photo so I could come back and look in my books, because internet was not high speed modem, and looking it up was tedious, so it was faster to look in a book. So then there was all that reference. So from that, I just moved into learning all about it. And then I realized that I have even more connection through my Métis background. I found out, I didn't know growing up that there was this really strong connection to my native background. And once I found that out, it made sense that I could learn more about this and I could tie it into my roots. Like, I have roots with this. Mm-hmm. So my grandmother is Cree, and on my mom's side, there is a line of First Nations that not a lot of people know of, and it's the Montagnais. So I have more native than my parents because, they were each their own individual native stuff, right? And at some point, I had received information about all the medicines that natives learn. And I thought, am I supposed to learn all these medicines? Because I'm halfway there already. I can go for a walk in a forest and pick out stuff that I need and bring it back and make tea from it, or I can eat it and just help to heal. Mm-hmm. And where am I going with that conversation?
I'm not too sure.
Wow.
So
I just started thinking, it's so wonderful that you can go out and grab things and heal yourself. You don't need medicine. Mm-hmm. Well, some people need medicine. But you know what I mean? It was the pain medicine that they were trying to give me that made me want to research, where did that actually come from? How did they make pain medicine? So I learned. Willow bark. Mm-hmm. If you peel away willow bark, there's this white residue. There's a white powder in there. Mm-hmm. And it's that white powder that they've collected and figured out that stops pain. So I thought, well, I'll just go get some willow bark. I'll go right to the source. instead of taking medicine and paying for it when it's right there. You could just go outside.
Yeah. And it helped you, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a physical thing, you know. What about the psychological aspect of nature? What does that do for you? Like, what is it about looking out this window at the nature that's outside? What does that do for you? How does it make you feel? And what does it do to your personality?
So through my learning about nature, I also learned that everything has life. And I eventually learned to connect with that and feel what the plants feel, or get a sense of their belonging. So sitting here looking out the window, I don't just see green on trees. Sometimes I hear them in the springtime going, yeah, we're gonna live, we're gonna grow, we're gonna get bigger and stronger. And it's so strange to tell people that, because how do you hear trees? I don't know how I hear trees or plants or anything like that. I just hear them. And it almost sounds crazy, but it's their anticipation. You can feel their excitement that the earth is thawing.
Yeah.
And that makes me want to go out there and touch them. And to be able to feel like the needles on the trees. They're so soft right now. And it's so joyous to connect with the amount of joy that they have.
Yeah, well, what's happening is not only are you understanding what's happening with them over the seasons.
Yes.
You're feeling the same thing that they are.
Yes.
You know, so you're connected to that. You're connected to it.
And the more you go out there, the more you will be connected. So I go out. I'm outside every day. I go and I check the hens, I check the cows and the calves and the horses. And sometimes I just stand there and look at them. Because then you can see, really you can anticipate what the animals are thinking by just looking at them. Because everything has sort of a body language. You know? You can just look at things and anticipate. And oftentimes that's how I anticipate things with my photography. I have a sense that, oh, you know what's going to happen next? I think I know what's going to happen next. And then I move into a position where, oh, yeah, I was right. Click, 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 click.
One of the most important things of my life, and people, when I say this word, have heard this many, many times before, and that's balance. You have to have balance in your life to have appreciation for the things that you have in your life. In my case, I like living where I live in the city, but I also love my place in the country.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you only have the one thing, sometimes as time goes on, you lose the importance of what that is and what it's giving you. It's like if you were to live in Jasper. All of a sudden you wouldn't see the mountains after a while, to a certain degree. But when you go there on a visit, my goodness gracious, what an incredible place this is. And so that's what I have in my life, is I have this
retreat,
this city, and I have this place in the country, and both of them I appreciate much, much more because I have each one. Do you have something like that in your life, or are you so happy with where you are that you don't need that?
I'm happy where I am, that I don't need that, only because of where I used to be. So that's where the balance would have come in.
Okay.
Because previous relationship and even living in Vimy was confined. So I didn't have that balance at the time, because I would just be in Vimy and I wouldn't go very far. I would go travel around, and it was only in the last probably 3 years that I really started going out and taking pictures and taking the landscape photos, because I finally felt that I could leave that space and expand. So I have so much gratitude right now because of where I came from, because of previous years.
Okay, so you're living that balance right now. I think that you really are, because of where you were and now where you are. And so that's why this right now is so important, is because of where you've come from, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Sometimes I sit back and talk with Paul about, why didn't we get together earlier?
Yeah, well.
But then we also say it wasn't meant to be.
It's
we
happened.
Had to go through all of those struggles.
Yeah, but here we are. Let's embrace what we have.
Oh yeah.
And that's all good stuff.
Very happy with the way things are going right now.
Yeah.
They seem to just fall into place, actually.
Yeah.
Everything just falls very nicely into place. Oh, we need to do that? Okay, let's do that. And all of a sudden something will appear to help whatever we decided, to help make it just fall into place even more fantastically, really.
Yeah. Now you've mentioned Vimy, and there's something that you're involved with there.
Yes. In Vimy is where there is a shop that my parents own. My parents have purchased 10 years ago. Oh no, 11 years ago, they purchased an automated plasma torch. Computer run torch.
Goodness gracious.
Cuts everything that you need to cut out. So I take photographs and I transform the photos into something that hangs on a wall. You can hang it inside or outside. So it's a piece of metal art.
Wow.
From a photograph.
Yeah. And that's this is very intriguing to me. I think that's really cool. And we're going to pursue that as we talk more, because we're going to go there.
Oh, excellent. I'll be happy to show you
and
where
you're going to show me
you're
going to show me what you do there, because I think this is very exciting. So you're going to be able to show me?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, this is cool. So let's stop our conversation right now, and we'll head down the road to Vimy, and we'll talk more there.
Sure. I'll see you there.
So here we are in Vimy. We made a cross-country trek from the ranch all the way over here. Our cars are filled with mud.
Oh, so much mud.
We also had to get the eggs from the chicken coop.
That's
from
right.
Chickens. We had to go check on some horses. We had a whole bunch of stops to look at photo ops and that sort of thing. But we're here at Song's shop, where she does her plasma designs, and she's just taken a bit of time to show me some of the things that she's done, and it's amazing stuff. Maybe what I'll do when I get back home, I'll also let you guys know where you can look at her website to see some of the beautiful things that she does. So, Song, tell me about where we are, what we are looking at, and what you do here.
So we're in the shop in Vimy, and it's my parents' shop, actually. I work for my parents, and one day my dad said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm looking for another job." And he says, "Get that plasma torch going." And I said, "Really? Okay, sure, I can do that full time." So that allowed me to take my photographs, if I wanted something in a metal form that would last, and so that you could look at it, I could take a photograph of it and transform it into a piece of metal art. And that's what this machine does. This is a plasma torch. It's an automated plasma torch. So I program everything in the computer through Corel Draw, and the other program is a CNC torch program. And it basically tells this this upright automatic piece right here, which is the torch, what to do. And then it goes on these rails, back and forth on these rails. So there are all sorts of X and Y axes, so that if this is coming forward, this is moving in a circular motion if I need it to, or it's moving in a jagged motion so that I can cut curves and sharp lines, or intricate letters, as you can see on some of the hangers.
Yeah. What I'm interested in is, we take a look at a piece. I mean, we look at this hanger. How long would it take you to start from scratch, put it into the computer, and cut that metal to create that final product? How long would that take to do, from beginning to end?
It really
depending on the intricacy of the work.
It really
right?
depends on the piece.
Yeah.
Yes, this piece right here, this one, I got a call from a friend who said, "Hey, can you do something?" And he sent me a picture. So within a day and a half, I had this right here in my hand from the photo that he sent to me.
Okay.
So,
and that's got some interesting aspects to it. But again, the printing that's on there. But some of these other
So,
ones that we looked at,
I
you
had to
know,
cut out.
the fine details.
yes, so I'm getting to that. So this one is simple, I guess you could call it. So the lettering was the most challenging part, figuring out the size of the lettering to compensate for the torch cutting it out and the width of the cut that the torch makes. So then if we move on to something that's as detailed as that hanger over there, that one starts in pieces. I already have the letters pre-made, or the numbers pre-made, and the letters, I guess there are letters on the bottom there. So they're already pre-made, so I have to copy and paste it and then add it to the pre-design of the hanger.
Yeah.
And then I add the ram into the center of it. So that one, because there's so much more detail and different detail, probably took me about 4 days to design it. But the cutting itself, then I watched to make sure that the cutting, it's not burning out in certain spots.
Yeah.
Because some of it does get burned out if I haven't designed it properly.
Oops.
So you see here, I didn't take into account that the torch was going to come around by the 5.
Right.
And it would burn off the 5. So mistake. So I redid it, reorganized it, stuff like that. You have to do it in order for me to see what's going to cut out and what's going to drop out and what is not going to drop out. See, all of this ended up being good, but it's not cleaned up. So from this, I would take it to the grinding table over there and take all of this off.
All the bits and pieces off. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you look at the back of that one, it's all smooth. You wouldn't receive a piece like this at all.
Yeah.
This is not finished, but it takes time to take this off.
Yeah.
And then from that, it's going to go to the sandblaster that I operate over there. So after the sandblaster, I'm wearing gloves. You have to wear gloves when it comes out of the sandblaster, otherwise the oils on your fingers are going to leave oil and the paint won't stick.
It won't stick. Yeah.
Because it's powder coated.
Yeah.
If it was a different kind of paint, I don't think it would matter. I don't think you even need to sandblast it.
Yeah.
I haven't worked with the other paint, so I don't know. But getting back to that. So then from there, it goes to the paint booth, which is right there.
Yeah.
So fill the powder, get the powder going. Then I start the ovens. Now, depending on the piece, this big piece right here, it doesn't fit into the smaller oven. But all these hangers and all these smaller wall hangings, they fit into the smaller oven.
Yeah.
It's basically a kitchen oven.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy. You just stick it in the oven and let it cook for 10 minutes. And from that, you just let it cool and it's ready for the customer. So after the design, it'll take probably 2 hours because you have to account for the grinding and the sandblasting and the painting, the powder coating.
Yeah.
It's really dependent on the piece. These pieces probably take 30 minutes here because they're smaller, because it's one color, and actually they don't even want it painted.
Yeah.
So it's going to stay shiny like that one over there. It's all buffed up and polished. So, and I've said to them that they have to add a clear coat to it. I don't have liquid paints here. So they said, that's fine, no problem.
Yeah.
So they'll add the liquid, the paint to it, and then it'll be finished.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Do you, like, I mean, you've got your your information on the Facebook page.
Yeah,
Um,
mirrored images, plasma designs.
Yeah. And do you find that you're getting hits from people that are far away, or is it sort of a local industry right now?
It's local.
Yeah.
I have had customers from Eastern Canada
Yeah.
contact me to cut out specific pieces. Canadian Combat Coalition, they've ordered a piece, and then the gentleman who's in charge of that company, he's ordered specific pieces for his brother who's died, and they did a commemorative piece for him. And there are other people in New Brunswick or Nova Scotia who order the tanks.
Right.
All the tanks that I've cut out, a lot of them have been shipped to the East Coast as well.
That's wonderful. Wonderful.
The farthest that I've shipped is California.
But what I
neat.
love about, like, here we're standing in amongst chaos here. There's it's
So
it's a
much
shop. There's
Yeah.
stuff everywhere. And from the chaos comes this beauty. I mean, I love that. Juxtaposition. It's really, really neat, and you should be really proud of what you're doing here. I mean, I think it's just fantastic. And
I am really happy.
Also with the sophistication of the plasma torch, there are so many possibilities that you have at your beck and command to create, and so there are so many possibilities for you to just let your mind go, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think that's I've never seen anything like this before.
Really?
And I think it's really
Oh,
cool.
that's
I think
great.
I just love what you're creating here. It's pretty neat.
May I show you some more stuff?
Sure.
This
Oh.
goes in your lawn. So you take it, push it into the lawn. It holds your wine bottle and your wine glasses. And we have a variety of these. This one is W because my dad's name is Wayne.
Okay.
I thought you might like that.
That's great. So, Song, I want to thank you for today. This has been a lot of fun.
You're welcome. Thanks
And,
for coming out and doing this with
I've
me.
learned so much more about you than I did before we met, and you're a wonderful person.
Thank you.
And I hope that everybody sort of realizes that when they have a chance to listen to what we've done this afternoon. So, thank you very much
You're welcome.
for
It was very good to meet you. Instead of just talking through the phone. Or
yeah. Well,
through
that's
email.
what
It's
these
really good to-
conversations are about. It's
really good
face to face, right?
Yes.
That's the best part of it. So, again, thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. Here's a hug.
You have been listening to Terry Lawson Photography Conversations. Conversations with those involved in the arts.